Hello, everybody. Jeff Candler here. Bang. We're in Atlanta with Keller Williams, and today I have Osazee. He's our guest. He's one of our friends. We got to know each other last year. First time we met at
That's correct.
similar event. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm from the Bay Area, California, for Bang specifically, San Francisco County. But I grew up in the East Bay, so born and raised, and currently live in the South Bay, San Jose. So I like to, work a market that's what I consider like a triangle of San Francisco, Oakland to San Jose.
Okay. So how long have you been in real estate?
So I started real estate as an investor in 2017.
Uh-huh.
So I own doors in the Bay Area, and then because of corporate, um, experience and realizing that I was restricted in the ways that I wanted to move. Plus, honestly, I loved real estate so much, I wanted to become a full-time practitioner in it.
Right.
So that's when I jumped into being a realtor, and that was about 4.5 years ago.
Okay. So I guess when you got the taste of real estate when you were doing your purchases, it's just a
Yeah,
natural move.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the market, who your buyers are, that kind of thing.
Sure, sure. So, in San Francisco specifically, people may know that AI is popping right now. It's just really big. And what it is doing, it is revitalizing and creating a resurgence in San Francisco. Like, um, you know, to be real honest, I think because of media, a lot of people might have had unfavorable opinions of San Francisco. But if you actually come and visit the city, you can reach out to me. I'll give you a tour. And it's amazing, especially if you don't just focus on the typical Union Square area that most everybody frequents, right? There, like if you go to Golden Gate Park, for example, which many people don't realize is larger than Central Park in
Okay.
New York, you can go on an island that is a relatively easy hike and see a 360 view, not only of the beauty of San Francisco, but also of the Bay Area.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
A few minutes ago we were talking, and you mentioned the laid back vibe.
Oh yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that.
So yeah, my style. Obviously, I understand. In order to help a client, you have to understand a lot about where they're coming from and who they are. So I definitely always figure that out first. But growing up in the Bay Area, we have a culture that is very chill. And what I mean by that is not necessarily that does that mean that we're not going to work hard, but it just means that we kind of like to move at an even kill pace,
Right.
and not stress out too much, which I think honestly has made it perfect for me because I don't always sweat the challenges or the adversity.
Right, right, and that's a good point. And where I'm from in Asheville, North Carolina, we're considered. I don't know if you've ever heard this. Asheville is considered a little San Francisco of the East.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
I don't think
we
I've heard
have
that.
we have that same laid back vibe, that same.
Well, I do know that you have that vibe personally, so
Okay, yeah. So a lot in common there. I think you have a couple of unique niches in your business. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So because I started as an investor, I would say that probably a third or so of my current clients are looking into that, whether it's multifamily, short-term rentals, and a strategy in investing that we call house hacking. So, I help clients in pretty much any aspect of investing. People always ask commercial versus residential. I'm a residential realtor, but if somebody wants to buy small properties like around up to 10 units or less, that's well within my wheelhouse. So but house hacking, so I stumbled upon it when I was in my first house probably around 2012, and then I've loved it ever since. And I didn't know that it was called that originally because that coin came around when the real estate strategies of using a personal loan to invest got big, especially through the pandemic when the interest rates were so low, right? So what people would do is they would go get a primary home and then use that as a way to start investing.
Right.
Or maybe they already were investing and they just got their primary home and decided, hey, we want to get, you know, up to 4 units like you can on a owner occupied loan, and then rent out the rest of the units to make some kind of income, but also have, because we're in the Bay Area where we have typically the highest percentage of appreciation, you have dual form assets. So and a lot of people in that time focused on cash flow because with those low interest rates, that's something you can do.
Yep.
So now that's not really a thing. When the interest rates went up, that kind of killed that aspect. So in the current, I focus more on helping people swallow the fact that our mortgages are higher than, most everywhere else, right? With average price points in San Francisco, for example, of 1.6, 1.7, for some people that can be tough, especially when they're just first starting. And rents are probably around 2,500 to 4,500. So many people that are maybe millennial and Gen Z under think like, oh, I would rather just rent, because they don't understand that they have other options, right? If you just got out of college, or if you're single and don't really care, you can do a room rental model, buy your first home. Now you have some income. You're already used to having renters anyway. And now that hedges your bet against paying the higher mortgage. And keep in mind, they're qualified for the mortgage without that. So it's really just an extra as opposed to it's a necessity.
So anybody out there who ever questions, why should I use a real estate agent? That's the reason why. They can teach you things. They can show you things. They can show you things you never knew or an option. So thanks for sharing that.
And to your point, Jeff, it's funny because, since I have had several of the hundreds of these conversations, I understand that people are at different points with it. So some people may not want to rent, but so I never make it like you need to do this type of thing, because it's a consultation, right? Sure. Are you open to it? By the way, this could help you feel more comfortable. That's the kind of thing that I see. So like I said, probably a third of my clients do that and they love it, right? Because think about it. You can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplex where both units are 3-bedroom, 2-bath in San Francisco, and you're looking at probably at least $5,500 of rent for renting out that unit.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, tons of options. Again, if you ever doubt why you need a real estate agent, this is why. But they know their stuff. So we'll switch a little bit. We'll go into the bang part of the conversation. As we've grown over the last couple of years and we've got to know each other. We've got to know each other on personal levels, and because of that, I know you're a fitness guy.
That's correct.
And it's I see your videos. I see some of the stuff you do. I'm like, man, this dude's in shape. He knows his stuff. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I've always been into fitness. I was a soccer player as a kid and then transitioned into basketball. Then I got sponsored in 2017 to become a bodybuilder. I had no clue what that meant, but it was an incredible journey. And honestly, for those that have never done a bodybuilding competition, it is an incredible self journey because a lot of it is very solo. I'm more of a team person,
right?
But in that journey, I recognized that you because of how challenging it is, you always have to kind of check yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And in some aspect that became good because I could reflect and then I could transition that skill over to helping clients, or just making sure that I master whatever it is I'm trying to do in a day.
Right.
So through that, I needed to figure also alignment, right? Because I knew I had this passion for fitness, sports, and things like that. So how do I make that work with, being a realtor?
Be on call 24/7.
Exactly. So that balance was very difficult. And but now the thing that I think has helped make it work is when I talk to to our referral partners all over the country or whatever. Because I put so much content out there on social media and I have a pretty decent presence, I think people understand that that's who I am. And I focused on making sure they understand that I'm a realtor first.
Sure.
And then that comes next,
Right.
And they also understand that because of those skills that I developed through that I'm able to get jobs done.
Right. Yeah, I think you could probably also teach classes on time management, on time blocking, because you do so much with real estate, with social media, with the fitness, and then you also travel with softball.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So, and the it's so interesting because at first I thought that it would take away, but actually it's super helpful. I've been able to travel around the country where we go on our various softball tournaments, and I get to meet our realtor partners in person. And so when a client says, "Hey, Osazee, do you know somebody in Philadelphia, or do you know somebody in New York?" I can say, I know, not only do I know them, I've met them and I've hung out with them.
Right.
They've come to a softball game.
Right.
All of that stuff
Yeah.
when I've been playing.
That makes such a huge difference. It gives us as agents a totally different level of confidence when we have that referral, and I can say, I know Osazee. We've met in person a couple times. He's on the other side of the country, but we've had conversations. We see each other in monthly meetings, and that's what you get when you work with a bank agent. Whether I'm helping you or I'm referring you to Osazee, we've got you covered. One last question. Finish this sentence for me. When I work with Osazee, I know I'm going to get like.
You're going to get a dedicated individual who understands that there's a goal to accomplish. And, me personally, I love helping people through a journey. And I understand that the journey can be dynamic, it can be challenging, but I've, had my reps in life to be able to help take you through it.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. It's a pleasure seeing you again. And till next time,